was 1863 when my family and I decided to immigrate from our homeland, Ireland, to America. There were so many reasons why we had to leave Ireland and come to the U.S. Ireland was suffering from the potato famine at this point of our lives. The potato famine was when our main food source, potatoes, were being covered in fungi, becoming unable to eat.
Ireland also had limited job opportunities and little land, making us unable to live there. America had everything we needed. They had lots of open farmland for us to live and work at. They also had industrialization. Industrialization is a time when there were more factories and cities and multiple ways of transportation. After we moved to the U.S., our lives changed for the better.
Our voyage to the U.S. was one of the most challenging parts of our lives. There were 3 types of ways that U.S. immigrants were brought to America. The ways were first class, second class, and steerage. The only people that were processed at Ellis Island were the steerage. First and second class passengers were inspected on board before they were being transferred to New York. We were crowded in a ship with little space. There were about 2,000 people on each boat ride to America.
People would get seasickness, have lack of privacy, cramped living quarters, and there was spreading of sickness. If you would die on the voyage to the U.S., you would be thrown into the water and never seen again. During the storms, the door to go below the deck was latched closed, leaving passengers with little light and no fresh air. On the worst weather days, people could not even sleep in their beds because they would slide all over the place. It took about 43 days to travel to America.
When we arrived in Ellis Island, we all gathered in the Great Hall to be processed. This took about a day. Many families were split up while being processed. We were all marked with identification tags. We went through medical and legal inspections. During the process, we were asked 29 questions. The first question was, how much money do you have? You had to have at least $25. If you passed the questions, you would move on to the next stage.
If you couldn't move on to the next stage, you'd be marked with chalk. H stood for heart problems, K stood for hernias, SC stood for scalp problems, and PG stood for pregnant. Those with chalk marks had to go through extra medical inspections. If you had a contagious disease, you'd be put in a cage set aside from the rest. If your medical problems could be cured, you'd be sent to the island hospital.
The legal inspection included a list of 32 questions. The questions would contain their identity, place of origin, occupation, financial status, and their planned destination in the U.S. The inspectors would not allow any immigrants to enter the U.S. if they had a criminal record. Some immigrants would be detained because they were sent to hospitals or if women or children came without a man. Women and children would be detained until they were sent a telegram or letter from a family member that was already a resident of America. After the inspection, we went downstairs to the Great Hall that was also referred to as Stairs of Separation. It was called this because it was where we parted from our family.
Although immigrants often settled near ports of entry, a large number of immigrants did find their way inland. Many states, especially those with sparse populations, actively sought to attract immigrants by offering jobs or land for farming. Many immigrants wanted to move to their communities established by previous settlers from their homelands. Once we were settled, we looked for work. There were never enough jobs, and employers often took advantage of us. Women were generally paid less than other workers.
Social tensions were also part of the immigration experience. We were often stereotyped and discriminated against. Many immigrants suffered verbal and physical abuse because they were different. While large-scale immigration created many social tensions, it also produced a new vitality in the cities and states which the immigrants settled. The newcomers helped transform American society and culture, demonstrating that diversity as well as unity is a source of national strength. After we immigrated to the U.S., our lives changed drastically. We now live on a huge farm and work on it too. We are becoming very wealthy and we are no longer suffering from starvation. I am now starting school. I decided to get an education because when I grow up, I want to take care of the sick immigrants and help as many as I can so that they won't get deported. I was inspired by all the hard-working doctors who helped all the other sick immigrants get better. Although the process of becoming a U.S. citizen took very long and was brutal, it was all worth it in the end.